on Monday's show, I did the first hour from here, and one of the things we talked about, because I'd love to have talked about the entire Week 6 up to that point in time, only had 1 hour with you. The Tua Tagovailoa soundbite after the Miami Dolphins lost in the final throws of Week 6 against the Los Angeles Chargers. And one of the reasons why they go down, not the full reason why, but it's always difficult to win football games in which you turn over the ball. And certainly your quarterback throws 3 interceptions. And then he kind of fumbled walking to the podium and talking about how some of his teammates are not appearing at players-only meetings. They're late or blowing them off. And when a quarterback strolls to the podium and the first words aren't, "It's my fault," off of a loss, even if it isn't, okay, it creates an issue. But being honest is something we in the media want. It's not like we want you to come up there and give us the rote answer. We want you to be honest with us, and he clearly was. But the problem is when you're being that honest about what's going on behind the scenes and your coach is on the hot seat and you're saying it starts with leadership and leadership is off, and you're also somebody with a C on your chest, you're sending about a bunch of messages that could create, as he points out, rightfully so, a lot of noise. So when Tua stepped to the podium on Wednesday, he had this to say.
As a leader of this team, of the Miami Dolphins, the comments that had been said, I would say I've made a mistake, and I'm owning up to that right now. I've talked to guys on the team about it, talked to the leaders about it, and that they know my heart. They know that the intent was right, but no matter the intent, the intent can be right, but when things get misconstrued or however the media wants to portray it, that leaves a void of silence and a lot of questions for the guys on our team. Now, being 1-5, we talk a lot about, all right, we got to get this going. We got to get this going. Come in excited to go to work. Forget about the noise. And I feel like I just added on to that for our guys. For myself, I got to look at myself as the leader, protecting the team. I don't feel like I did that to the best of my abilities. I felt like I let the emotions of the game get to me after the game. And, that's something that I can learn from as a leader on this team. And what happens in-house should be protected, and none of that should have gotten out. And so want to publicly apologize about that, want to move forward, and now want to focus on the Cleveland Browns.
I mean, well said, well put, with the exception of, how the media is construing things. There is nothing else to construe other than the fact that there's something going on behind the scenes that involves leadership. Right. And it involves commitment by the players. Like that, 100%, when your head coach is on the hot seat and you say stuff like that, you are going to add more fuel to the fire. And I don't know, like, publicly shaming, maybe he felt like that would be the last resort or something like that.
I guess, but when you say something like that, again, he may not have intended this, but he's calling out his head coach, and he's calling out himself.
Yeah, he's the captain. He's the leader.
He's a captain. He's the quarterback. He is the face of this franchise on the player side, and you just can't go up there post-game and start airing it out like this.
You can if part of the reasons why you've lost is because the lack of chemistry, cohesion, playing for one another is gone, and you've had it up to here, and you want things to change. And the only issue is that you're now calling into question all 53 men, and not everybody maybe feels the same way and aren't as or are as committed as Tua. And the problem is if the head coach, who's the one who threw his arm around you to start your career, is in such trouble, and you're basically coming out and saying, it's a holy heck of a mess around here. You folks have no idea. I can't even get my teammates to show up for a players-only meeting, or they're blowing it off. You're only going to create a bigger problem. And I can't imagine.
Maybe you don't want to do it after a game when you throw 3 picks, too.
Again, as Kurt will say when he comes here, or I don't know if we'll bring this up to him. If we do, he will always say the first thing you always say if we won, it's because of a team effort, and if we've lost, it's because of me.
Yeah.
That's what a quarterback always needs to do, because it keeps all of everything that needs to stay in-house.
Right.
And it also keeps things at a temperature that isn't overboiling. Tua did the exact opposite of that. And now, I don't want to be one of those members of the media that then throws him under the bus for being honest with us. But what he did only serves to make everyone question the commitment of his teammates and his coach's ability to be a leader of men, which, when you're 1-5, is as red hot as it possibly can get. Kurt Warner's coming up hour 2. And I'm wondering, is there, again, obviously when you're 0-6, you need to win the Jets. I don't think Aaron Glenn's on the hot seat. I really don't. Even the way that he handled the end of the first half, where they didn't go for a Hail Mary, he admitted at the end of his press conference on Tuesday that's something he should have done.
Yeah, Tom said the same thing, but 0-10, 0-12. Then
No, I get that.
Yeah.
But that said, Dan Campbell went 0-10-1, and this guy's from
Exactly.
that staff,
Right?
And you could see what they built even after going 1-6 the next year. And if you believe in the guy's system and and that he can install the same thing in Detroit, you should leave him alone.
Right.
The Titans are 1-5. They already fired their coach. The Browns are 1-5. Obviously. There is some question about Kevin Stefanski, even though he was a 2-time coach of the year.
Yep.
Are the Dolphins the leading candidate for needing a win in the worst way for Week 7?
That could be a higher register later on.
Without question.
You know what I mean? The Saints are 1-5, but they've got a new head coach, and they'll be patient. The quarterback situation is still I don't know if their future quarterback
Rattler's been
is on the staff.
been frisky.
I get it, but dude, 1-5 Dolphins.
It's rough.
The way that they keep losing at the end, and that the fact that Tua said what he said, it's still out there. It's not like it erases what he said. It's not, it's not like he apologized for being untruthful.
Right.
Do you think he said it because of the fact that these guys aren't
and he
taking
just
it
said
serious?
he said he let the emotions of the game get to him in a way that a quarterback just simply can't. Because in this world where the quarterback and the coaches are the CEOs of the operation, you can't lose your cool, and you can't come out and say the problems with us right now starts with leadership.
Yeah.
And when you've got a C on the chest and you just threw 3 interceptions, so those who you might be causing problems with in the locker room, somebody goes up and says, "Are you the one missing the players only meeting?" And he could have been the one calling it with Tua, and you're like, really? He said that? And you're the head coach who's on the hot seat, and hey, coach, leadership is in question. He'll be like, what did he say? Which is why he apologized. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.